Hey guys, it's Jennifer. Oh my goodness. Welcome to day 5 of Sorcery Salon. So today's theme is sorcery and relationships. And so if you've been tuning in, we have 4 previous episodes of this initiation process into what is called the Sorceress of Success, which is a 9-step program that is my signature program. And so people are like, well, what is that? How do I relate to that? What's interesting about that? What can you do for me, Jennifer? So if you would like to join me today, we are talking about sorcery and relationships. So what is the magic that is available in your personal relationships, in your personal network, in your business, in your client acquisition process, that if you knew more about sorcery, which is like channeling, it's energetic adeption, if that's an actual word, like being energetically adept about your relationships, knowing more about your personal process with sorcery, being a magical being in your relationships. And so some signs that you are already a magical being in your relationships is you're phoning people before they phone you. You get information about people and their business. You get information about people's financial flows. You get information about people's bodies. And people come to you and they ask you questions and they want you to consult with them. So you may already be a consultant, you may already be a coach, you may already be an industry leader, and you're using that intuition in your relationships already. But is it time for that intuition to grow? Is it time for you to know more about your natural talents as a sorceress? And so today I really want to talk about sorcery in relationships and how you may have been conditioned in a way that's been negative, that's impacted your intuition. And so some of the things that I do in my process with my clients is really showing them dozens and dozens of ways that they can turn on their intuition. Now we have, in the sorcery phase, we have 3 main categories. So there's sorcery with bodies, sorcery with relationships, and then sorcery with your personal finances. And so that intuition process, there's dozens and dozens and dozens of ways that I know to help you turn on your sorcery process. And so why do I call it sorcery? Well, the elements of sorcery for me include your intuition, but they also include practices where you develop your intuition and grow your intuition so that that feather touch that you get from the ethers, or like maybe you get it in dreams, or maybe you just kind of veg out and you get information. For me, I get songs, I get names, I get videos, I get pictures. I'm guided to show up like a day early for appointments. I'm like guided all over the place, you guys. And so I have been developing my intuition, developing my sorcery process by working with coaches, working with trainers, and also really road testing my awareness and my channeling process and getting information for myself. So in many cases, I would say in all of the cases, the stuff that I teach my clients is the stuff that I have used on my own. I have used with clients in a one-to-one session, and now we are moving over with the Sorceress of Success program into group. And I would say one of the really cool things about group is that you will get a sense of self, and then also as the group gets together, it becomes to create almost like a bigger satellite dish, because you have all of those individual awarenesses that are sitting there in the group with you. And so whether we're doing a meditation or we're working on an inquiry process together, it becomes easier for you to learn the process, because there's more bodies that are doing the same together. And, you know, in a way, I have, you know, like my coaches have been telling me, have a group program, have a group program, have a group program. And because I was so in love with the process of working one-on-one with my clients, and just going deep, deep, deep with them on their own inquiry process, you know, it kind of, you know, I was afraid to leave it. And so now that I'm moving forward, I can really see, now that I've made that choice, that what is happening with people when they go into a group inquiry process is quite a bit more valuable. So right now in human design, we are sitting in 44, which is called Coming to Meet. And how great is it that we're coming to meet and we're here to talk about sorcery in relationships. And so as an intuitive being, you may get the download about having conversations with people. You may get the download about what people want from you. And yesterday we talked about what people want from you isn't what you always have to deliver to them. Does that make sense, you guys? What people want from you isn't what you always have to deliver to them. And so the big promise with working with me is that you get confidence, you get clarity. I hear this all the time with my clients. They're like, wow, Jennifer, I feel so much more confident with my decision-making process because you've given me so many ways of checking my decision-making process. And I would say people need that. You know, you get this doubt in your mind about like, oh, well, maybe I made it up. Maybe I'm having a fantasy. Maybe. And well, maybe. I mean, there's always dozens and dozens of timelines that are available. Dozens. And so how do you know that you are on the correct timeline for you? Well, you always are on the correct timeline for you. And so it's the congruency of the timeline. And so if it's an uncomfortable timeline for you, what you can do is you can get onto a different timeline by making different demands of yourself. But how do you know how to do that? Well, you have to learn how to do that. So if you don't know how to move over to a different timeline, that would definitely be something that we would be talking about in the sorcery process. And so the reason why the sorcery process is the middle of the program is, you know, for me, that's what everybody wants to talk to me about. That's the sexy, juicy part. It's like, Jennifer, you know, like, how do I create this new energy? How do I invite in this new energy? And so before you're actually congruent to invite in these new energies and have a lasting transformation, you have to go through the first part of my program, which is the sovereignty phase. And so if you're not completely physically sovereign in your body, then you have to get sovereign in your body. And if you're not sovereign in your relationships, then you have to get sovereign in your relationships. And if you're not sovereign in your finances, then you have to get sovereign in your finances. And for me, that's always a very cool process to go through. Like every year I level up. I know that about myself. So then I have to go back into that sovereignty phase and make sure the new leveled up me is sovereign in her body, sovereign in her relationships, and sovereign in her finances. Because the level up process is what it is. And many of the people that I work with, I would say all of the people that I work with, are on a lifelong journey of development. They want to know a better way to live their life every single year. They want to be leveling up. They're not the type of people that sit still. They're lifelong learners. They're deeply investigative in their process. They want to know how things work. They want to, maybe like me, want to know how success works. And, you know, what makes some people more successful than other people. And one of the things that I've really, really learned is that no matter how much sorcery that you do, and believe me, I know so much magic, and I really want to invite you to all of the magic. And, you know, going through that sovereignty process will allow you to use that magic and create lasting change in your world and then also lasting change in the world of the people that you love, that you care about, that you work with, who come to you for consulting or coaching or your professional capacities and abilities. So that sorcery in relationships, oh my goodness, so freaking important that you know that at all times there's always a more magical alternative to the relationships that you have with people. And so what that sorcery allows you to do, like at the end of the process, it's really going to allow you to relax and be yourself in all of your relationships. So just be you, be the sorceress, relax. And so super, super important that you have the ability to just be yourself. And there's nobody like you. There's really, really nobody like you. And super, super important that you know that there's nobody like you. And your specific ingredient on this planet, your throat frequency, is the throat frequency that what is called your soul fractal is looking for from you. And oh my goodness, this little dog wants to be part of the show today. So your soul fractal is looking for you. And so if you're not expressing yourself in your relationships, you know, like we would have gone through that in the sovereignty process, but that in the sorcery process, it's to know what frequencies are coming through your body and how do we build those frequencies so they're like booming out into the ether. They're, you know, like they're connecting with the people who are wanting to connect with you. And so expressing yourself, learning to express yourself, and also knowing what your specific ingredients are really informs what you're here to be and do. So there's a billion different kinds of sorcery, and there will be ones that are very specific to you. So if you watch my show, you know I'm a natural psychic and channel, and I have been that my whole entire life. I've also been an energetic healer for as long as I can remember. I grew up actually going to church with my grandma, and they believed in that faith of laying of hands. And so I was doing that as a tiny little being. And so I know my capacities when it comes to bodies, my capacities when it comes to like reading auras and knowing what people need. Now, are they going to choose it? That's one of the things of relationship sorcery. It's like you can be as magic as you want. But if the people that you are trying to be a sorceress with, or trying to add your magic to their life, if they're not consenting, then you can't really do it. You can't. You know, there's different ways of approaching people. There's different ways of approaching your relationships, because your relationships are your inner circle relationships. Your relationships are your peripheral relationships, which would be your client relationships, your network relationships. And then you do have relationships with your peer group or whatever it is, like, you know, these people who are the outer circle relationships. But I have a cool story to tell you. So years ago, I facilitated for a corporation called Access Consciousness. And so one of the courses that I taught was something called the Foundation. And we were talking about manipulation of energies and using energies to call in other energies and having a dialogue with other energies. And this woman that came to my class, there was somebody that owed her $10,000. And had made a few payments towards it, but really didn't have an intent to pay her back. Like, you know, like checking into the energy for myself. I know in my heart he had no intent to pay her back. And so one of the things that I taught her was how to connect with his energy, with her energy, in a benevolent way, and make it very clear energetically that that money that was owing wasn't just going to sit there, you know, unpaid. And so that's one of the things, one of the sorcery things that I know how to teach, that I can teach any day, all day. That's super fun. And so what we ended up doing was connecting her energy to his energy benevolently and saying like, hey, let's get this cleaned up. Let's get this cleaned up. Let's get this cleaned up. And I don't know if it was within 24 hours. I really think it was. It might have actually been by the end of that business day. But let's say 48 hours, within 48 hours, he had sent her, like had not contacted him with her voice. No email, no voicemail, no nothing. She just contacted him energetically with my coaching. And he sent her an email that's like, I fully intend to pay you, and this is how I intend to pay you. But the tone of the email was so interesting. It was like, stop harassing me. So he had felt that energetic connection from her, and that energetic, like, pull on his leash, like, pay me, like, quit messing around. You borrowed the money from me, and at that time you fully intended to pay me. And so I would like to go back in that reality to where you fully intended to pay me. And so that's what she did. She went into his reality. She showed him his intent to pay her. And, that's why she had said yes to him borrowing the $10,000 from her. She didn't intend anything less than that. And so then with my coaching, that's what happened. She ended up connecting with him energetically and pulling that result where he sent her an email. And the tone of the email was definitely like, hey, like, stop bugging me. That's not what he said in the email, but he definitely felt that energetic attachment. And so that's one type of sorcery that is available in the relationship sorcery section. Like, we're like a whole section together talking about those type of attachments with people, where you have legal attachments with people, where you have bloodline attachments with people, where you have soul contracts with people. And, if you are in a reality with them where you are at the effect of them, then how do we switch the molecules? How do we change the molecules so that you can have a more magical, contributory relationship with people? And so one of the things that I do notice that I want to bring up today is something called generosity of spirit. And so those people that work with me, like one-on-one and now in my group programs, I do notice over and over again that they are very generous people. They tend to be like giving, 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 giving. And what I call in for them and what we call in together is people that their generosity of spirit will always create an infinity loop. So no matter how generous they are with other people, generous in their networks, generous, with their talents and their capacities and their awareness and all of their training, but the type of clients that they're bringing in have that generosity of spirit. And then their own personal relationships, their inner circle personal relationships, have that generosity of spirit. Because, like, what's the point, guys? If you being you and being your normal, generous, beautiful self isn't attracting the reciprocal, then we need to change some of those molecules. I want you to be attracting like-minded people who, you being you, is just the most gorgeous contribution to their life. They're like, oh my God, when they think of you, they're just like, that person is amazing. And, they can't wait to spend more time with you. They want to be super generous with you too. And then that becomes your normal standard of living. So yes, we can use this sorcery to change your standard of living. We can change this sorcery to change your body and how your body is magnetizing in your relationships. And, it's funny, like old school metaphysics says, you attract like. And I would say, yes, that's true. But also we are changing every moment. You are changing every moment. Like science backs this up. You even like as you sleep and as you wake up, the cells in your body are turning over and turning over and turning over. And so it's very, very important for you to understand that the frequency that you're being, the sorcery that you're being is constantly attracting. And so we want you to be attracting fulfilling choices, fulfilling life situations. It's like living in a home that you love, surrounded by people that you love, having clients that you love and who love you back. Like the reason why I was late with my broadcast today was because I didn't twig, because I was talking to a client that I freaking love. And we're talking about some things and, you know, sharing about some things. And this is a person that I feel like I have complete generosity of spirit with. And so that's super important to me, you know, because you in business as you Inc. needs to be generosity of spirit. It needs to have abundance in it. It needs to have relaxation in it. Like you can just relax into being yourself. And then you getting the traction on your goals, on what it is that you would like to have, like whatever income that you want, you know, whatever living situation that you want, who you want to spend time with the most, that you just get to have that. And so sorcery. So all the different kinds of sorcery, like I talked about, you know, this energy manipulation technique where you just use your own energy and you go back into the energy, the source code creation of a contract with someone, and then you pull that energy back and you're like, okay, I will have the initial intent of the contract. Thank you. And that will be what I have. And that sort of, you know, I mean, of course, it was part of like maybe a 2-hour facilitation. So we can't do that in 22 minutes on a Tuesday. But in the sorcery with relationships, we will be talking about that. You know, what is the original intent of the contract that you have with people? And, you know, because every person in your life, you have a soul contract with. And is that soul contract congruent with today? Or is it an expired soul contract? Like there's so much sorcery that's available with relationships. And I would say that we are here 100% for our relationships with ourselves. We're here for, you know, you are here for your relationships with your inner circle. And you are here for your relationship with yourself. And you are here with your relationship and for your relationship with your purpose, like what your real soul contract is. And so I can give you a ton of guidance with that. And then your relationships with the people inside the Sorceress of Success program are going to be really, really valuable to you as well. And so I think we've been going for 22 minutes. I sure hope so. I ended up stopping a little bit late, or starting a little bit late, so I'm stopping a little bit late. So tomorrow we're going to talk sorcery with finances. Oh yeah, baby. And so those of you who know me know I have a background in real estate, mortgages, finance, and that I'm also a channel and a psychic. And when I look at you, I see the gold in your veins. So super excited to talk to you about sorcery with money and wealth. How fun will that be? So join me tomorrow at 2:22 Pacific, and I'm super excited. If you want to watch the other videos, there's 4 more videos about this program that are sitting on my Facebook page. So go ahead and have a look. Ciao, guys. Bye.